It is I, ReActionExaminer, coming to you live from my studio. And yes, this is a rare occasion just because I never really do live videos before. I did my history of ReActionExaminer, and that was special. And I just have very high standards for when I want to show my face, and I'm just not happy with the equipment I have right now. Um, right now, I'm using my Mac camera that's built into my computer, and it works fine. I also have a really nice camera that can take 720p, but it's also a little bit not as good pixels, so I don't like to use it as well, and I need a tripod. But anyway, I thought I should do an end of the year video because I'm going to be reading some submissions for what other people of my friends and viewers and stuff sent in to, talk about what they thought their best games of the year were. I, of course, picked my top 10, and I wrote about it earlier this week. And, a lot of them agree and a lot of them don't. But I want to read what other people think and then give a wrap up of games that I didn't get to review this year, but I'm kind of playing, and I just, there's just too many games this year. Also, going back to retro games, stuff like that, just too many games. Okay, so this first email is, let's call her Isis, because I'm going to use hidden names just to protect people that they never really told me if they should be read or not. So let's get down to it. Okay, so Isis says, I'm going to have to go with Fire Emblem Awakening. I easily lost nearly 100 hours on that game. Favorite in the series. The characters were great and the battle system was pretty standard for Fire Emblem, but the added feature of a support system was really fun. And giving your characters the ability to mate and have the babies be recruitable, that was cool too. And of course, it was also nice to have a casual mode. No more needing to restart a chapter because a team member had fallen. Though actually, I still had fond memories doing it, and I did it in this game as well. So, that was Fire Emblem, and I do agree, it was nice to have a casual mode. I played a lot of the Fire Emblem games, and you know what? I think I earned the fact that to play in casual mode and I don't have to worry about people dying, just because I just don't have time for that nowadays. I have a show, I write for Examiner, and I work at other jobs too. And there's too much going on in my life. I need to get through these games as fast as I can, give my opinions on them, and be a game historian or wherever the hell I want to be. I don't know. I really don't know. She continues. I also have to say Bioshock Infinite. I am sad to say it was the first Bioshock game I have played, but boy did it suck me in. I've never had a game that I was that desperate to finish before so I could find out what was happening next. Booker and Elizabeth were very real and likable characters. The ending blew my mind, and while at first I didn't like it, when I actually sat down and thought about it an hour after finishing, I realized there couldn't be a more fitting ending. The combat for me did drag on a little bit, but the vigors were fun. I also agree. When I first played that game, in the beginning of the year, beginning-ish of the year, March, right, I believe, I liked it a bit. Not as much as what people were saying in other review websites. I gave it a 4 out of 5, and that's a really, really good score. I thought it was great. I didn't like the ending that much. I thought it was kind of a cop-out. But the combat was really fun. And then when I was really thinking about it for Game of the Year choices, I really wanted to play it again. Let's move on to somebody else, of course. And we're going to go on to, let's see, I will name this guy Tycho Drummaster. Tycho Drummaster writes in, A Link Between Worlds is one of the best Zelda games ever. And, might I add, Mario 3D World is the best multiplayer Mario ever. Infinitely better than those other new Super Mario Bros. Games. On the PC front, as much as I wanted Metro Last Light to be my game of the year, I have to give that to Rogue Legacy. What a game. Oh, and multi-platform. Available on damn near everything, game of the year has to go to Spelunky. Also, I forgot to mention my boy Shin Megami Tensei 4 on the 3DS. The JRPG of the decade. Yes, of the decade. I wouldn't say of the decade. Sorry, Taiko Drummaster. I would not say of the decade. Of your other stuff, I do want to play 3D World. That does look like fun. I did enjoy the new Super Mario Brothers, though. A lot of fun on the Wii, I should say. And, yeah, it's a hard toss-up. I think the best Zelda game ever made was the original, pre-Link Between Worlds, which is A Link to the Past. It's my favorite Zelda game, and then A Link Between Worlds came out, and it was the sequel remake that I always wanted. It was basically the first game, but not, and it blew my mind. I just, what should I call you? Let's just go with that guy I used to work with. That guy I used to work with writes in. A lot of strong titles hit the market this year, despite knowing the next console generation was set to be released this year. Best of 2013 comes to more of a small, condensed list rather than one simple solution. While great titles like Ni no Kuni, Grand Theft Auto 5, and Pokemon XY came out, I feel like the biggest leaps were made by the gaming participation in esports. League of Legends and StarCraft 2, I should say that Heart of the Swarm came out this year. I believe that's what he's referring to, or just maybe StarCraft and 3 and 2 in general. Anyway. Um, have made enormous leaps towards producing a new view of gaming into a lot of eyes. So rather than the best game by gameplay, I deem it to be a massive impact on gaming itself being the deciding factors on producing the best game of 2013. I have to agree that esports in the past couple years have just been kind of on a boom. All right, let's move on. Enough aside. Next, we have Nigel. Yes, Nigel writes in. I guess Splinter Cell Blacklist would be my favorite. Having played Call of Duty games for so long and being used to just running around and not giving a fuck about stealth, it was interesting to get used to taking your time and figuring out which enemy you want to kill or just leave alone. And I agree. Splinter Cell was a great game. In my review, I said it might be one of the, well, I would have to say the best stealth game of the year for sure, which I don't remember playing that much actually. And I actually played with Nigel during my review, and that's why I named it the best co-op game of the year. It's so many good memories of that game, just in single player and co-op in general, just multiplayer and the Return of the Spies versus Mercs. It was awesome, purely awesome. So yes, good one, Nigel. This one is from Launchpad. Launchpad writes in, I think for me it has to be Guild Wars 2. Content every 2 weeks, the living story, playing with friends, and crafting that legendary adventure. The playstyle of this MMO is none like any other. It really has been my poison for the year. So, I do not play MMOs. I know that Guild Wars 2 was hotly anticipated. I know they do a thing that basically people can just join quests that's randomly like in the world. I just want to say Guild Wars 2 looks cool. All right. Okay, really moving on now. Let's call this one Guy Who Likes to Play D&D but Doesn't Want to Tell Everybody. He might be over there. Okay. He says NHL 14 and Diablo 3 for the consoles. Fun. Simple. Mega Man writes in, Ni no Kuni. Love the art direction, the characters, and the way they incorporated the familiar system, though I also felt like the game was plagued with Pokemon-like feeling, and sometimes there were too many familiars to pick from, and choosing them was kind of a hassle. I agree. But that game is fucking awesome. Rad nuts. You gotta play it. JRPG people, talking about, hey, there's no games for me anymore. JRPGs are all about the fucking shit. The dumb shit. CGs and story, but that's dumb drama shit. I'm talking about 13. People don't like 13 that much. And hey, guess what? Ni no Kuni is like a harken back to those old PS1 era RPGs. It's fucking da bomb. Get that shit. It's like $15. $15. That game should be like $100. No, it shouldn't be $100 because then no one would really buy it. But fuck, buy it. Moving on. Tomb Raider is a visual experience. Here it's more. What was the most refreshing about the reboot is that it gave a backstory to one of the most iconic video game heroines. Also, her redesign was wonderful, and I really felt the more down-to-earth look better suited the character than the hussy in shorts. Um, me, quote that somewhere when you're actually making the video. Hussy in shorts. SMT4 was awesome. I wish there was more customization to her avatar. The equipment was one thing, but that's a small gripe. The game is true to its roots, and like many others of the past, gives the ability to battle many types of demons. The story is dark and makes you wonder how far down the rabbit hole you'll go. That's very deep. Thank you, Mega Man. Etrian Odyssey Millennium Girl is the name of a game. I couldn't put this baby down. It has exactly what I wanted and what I adore about the Etrian series. Very old school. The mapping is always fun, and the way you can customize the skills on your character is always a challenge. Cool. I guess that ends it for all my emails and stuff. Now it's time for me to talk about more stuff that I like. Who doesn't want to hear about that? All right. Putting this thing aside. Here we go. So, I played a lot of games this year. I reviewed a lot of games. I have a lot of games waiting in my list that should be played. Again, talking about Diablo 3. I bought that game when it first came out because I got a really good deal on it. And I should say my roommate has put in, I think he said he beat it like 3 or 4 times on the console. A lot of times he played on the Xbox version from his friend, though I think he beat it at least a couple times on my PS3 version. And yeah, I like the game a lot. Just things keep on distracting me. It's really, really good. I really, really like it. Not much else to say about that. I'll get to it someday and do a quick trail or something about it and give some love to this PS3 2013 game some love in 2014. Best games of 2014 from 2013. That should be a feature. Mental note. Also on that list, it should be mentioned, Tales of Xillia, the most recent Tales of game that came out in America. Also a treat. It streamlines a lot of stuff. There's no world map. It's more like Final Fantasy X, where you're kind of going from place to place along roads and stuff like that. And while the world map is cool and kind of a fading thing in JRPGs, I think there's a time and place for it. It shouldn't be in every game. And the linearity of this game shouldn't be in every game either. And I wouldn't say it's linear. That's a bad word for it, because linear, that's that's Final Fantasy 13 again. But it's a very good game. The combat system is good as always. They added voices to like little cutscenes and stuff. It's cool. If you like the Tales of series, you'll like this one. If you're new to the series, I think that's a good jumping point for you. Especially because you can probably get it for pretty cheap. Again, another one of those games that should be more, because it's awesome. It deserves a lot of love. Another game to add to that list would be Final Fantasy XIV. Yes, Final Fantasy XIV that came out in August, A Realm Reborn. A Realm Reborn, of course, reborning the Ultimatum. Yes, starring Matt Damon. Matt Damon is in Final Fantasy XIV, and he must get out from the MMO world. What will he do? No, but seriously, I bought it for $10 on PSN a couple weeks ago when they had a Christmas deal. I thought to myself, surely I can't pass this deal on. It'll give me 30 days free. Why not? So I'm playing this thing, right? I think I probably sunk in the couple weeks that I've owned it. Almost no, that's too much. At least 50 hours into it. And at first I was like, 30 days, that's enough for me to get onto this thing. Yeah, it'll be fine. MMOs, who wants those? I think I might start paying for this game. At least 1 month. And see how that goes. I don't like MMOs. I really, really don't. I don't like having to pay for a game that I already bought continually and kind of forcing myself to play that game because, like, I'm paying the money. I better play this game continually to get my money's worth. But it's just so good. And I'm playing it on the PS3. And I played DCUO on there. That game's kind of janky crap. I played Final Fantasy XI on the Xbox 360. kind of work, but it also kind of dated, and it's really hard to get into. Final Fantasy XIV is just a combination of what the things that are apparent to me is what it's a combination of a lot of MMOs from what I understand. It's very cool, I'm saying streamlined a lot, but it's very streamlined for the console and it's the hotkeys and the hotbars. It just works so damn well. It runs fantastically, though I should say a recent patch makes my character go wonky zooza. But patches make things go crazy, and I'm sure they'll repatch it and whatever. Yeah, this is a guy that literally despises MMO. Not despise. That's a hard word, but just not for me. I've went a long time. It's 2013. How many MMOs have come out from the land before time until 2013? A lot. None of them have drawn me in. The show.hack is what I want from MMOs. Or I guess the recent hit Sword Art Online. Something virtual reality where I can really get sucked into MMO and free actions and stuff like that. That's what I want from MMO. MMO. You see a pattern? All these are RPGs. They're fucking huge. It's kind of hard to review things when things are super long. Well, the end of September through October, November, I was doing a lot of those PlayStation Rewind features. And that took a lot, 2 months of playing a lot of old stuff. And right when these games were coming out. So that's one of the reasons why I didn't get to some of those games along with other stuff. There was just too many games this year. And that's, I don't want to complain about stuff like that because the more games, the better. Other wrap-ups of the year, hey, who knows what will be coming in 2014, but I will be here for sure, bringing you a unique look on video games, along with thousands of other YouTube people that bring you the exact same thing that they say. Though I try to be as real as I can. I'm not doing any kind of crazy voices. I'm not doing any kind of skits. Or am I? Was that just an experiment to see if people would react to that character? The freak out guy that just stares at the screen? I like cats a lot. I think we've had enough of me for today. Don't you think, guys? Okay. Well, that was fantastic. This is me wrapping up 2013 in review. What do you guys think? What are your favorite games of the year? Did my viewers that I read off and myself, do we have fucking ridiculous ideas of what the best game of the year was? You know what? I bet a lot of people would say stuff like Time and Eternity is the best RPG of the decade. Those guys would be fucking wrong. Good night, guys. Boom, ba-jack, boom, boom, ba-jack, boom, ba-jack, boom, boom, ba-jack, boom, ba-jack, boom, boom, ba-jack, boom, ba-jack, boom, boom, subscribe, boom, ba-jack, boom, boom, ba-jack, boom, ba-jack, boom, boom, ba-jack.